everybody. Welcome back for another episode of Shmerica's Reality Recap. Today we're going to be talking about 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, Season 5, Episode 8. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's get started. First this week, we are starting with Kimberly and international superstar Soulja Boy. So last week, we left off with Soulja Boy actually spending the night at Kimberly's honeymoon suite with a pillow fort between the couple, or not couple, potential couple, to block any happenings that could go on. Clearly, Soulja Boy didn't want Kimberly touching his yammy yam, whatever that means, so he made sure to have this impenetrable line of demarcation because he loves North Korea. So in the morning, we see that the pillow fort was gone. Kimberly said although they didn't have any yammy yam sexy time connection, they did have some romantic touching. Not really sure what that involved, and I wasn't going to ask. However, things seemed to be looking up for Kimberly, who was excited that she had her own superstar right there in her bedroom. It was like her own Neverland ranch. Feeling a little bit more comfortable, Soulja Boy decided that he was going to bring his luggage upstairs and commit to staying in Kimberly's little love nest. So he went downstairs and saw Slam T and Bad Moose and explained to them that, he didn't like Kimberly, but he likes her, but he doesn't like boyfriend, girlfriend like her, some kind of 5th grade crap. And then he grabbed his crap and went upstairs only to find Kimberly in seduction mode, wearing a pink heart print cotton nightgown from Walmart or something, while, with no undergarments, while trying to seduce him with a glass of champagne. She's flipping her hair around. She made sure to take off all of her makeup because apparently Usman likes women al natural. So they hop into bed. Kim's wearing this sexy nightgown and Usman is wearing swim trunks or something. And she's trying once again to seduce him and it's just not working. So then she just quits the chase and she just puts it all out there that she wants her sex tonight, much like Janelle. So anyway, Soulja Boy was feeling super pressured. He threatened to leave. Kimberly got so upset, she almost started crying. And then she turned it around on him and she started saying that, if her son see the way that he's treating her, that, he would cuss him out. Meanwhile, I think the only thing her son would cuss him out over is stealing his PlayStation, right? So it looks like Kimberly may have learned a thing or two from her idol, Michael Jackson. Next up were Pastor Ben and the Williams. I don't know. Who do you think it really is on the other end? Or Mahogany. So Pastor Ben landed in Lima, Peru, and he's all excited, just a glimmer in his one good eye, and he's looking all around when he gets off the airplane to find Mahogany in the crowd of people. However, she doesn't appear because she's probably not even real or she's a catfish, and he's just very embarrassed. So he hails a cab back to his hotel room where he presumably calls David and Caesar on a 3-way video chat to ask how he should proceed further. Then there was the other letdown of Ella and Johnny. Clearly, Johnny is not coming. He's so worried about getting sick that he doesn't, in Idaho, he thinks he's going to catch this virus in Idaho. And he decides that he's not going to come, but he's quarantining in Dubai for 2 weeks. So Ella goes over to talk to her mom on the ranch and her dad, who just kind of stood there stepping in cow pie intermittently while blinking, and, tells them that they were right about Johnny. He's not coming, but she needs to know if this is true love. She wants to see if she's going to have a happily ever after with her Asian prince. So Ella proposes the idea that she now should go to Dubai to meet him and quarantine there for 2 weeks with him so she would know yes or no, is this going to be a thing? Of course, her mom just kind of puts her down a little more, telling her, I think this is silly. You're naive. You're a woman. You're going to be by yourself. This is a terrible idea. But she does agree to support her both emotionally and financially. So it looks like Ella will be heading off to meet her Asian prince once and for all, face mask to face mask. But meanwhile, I would much prefer if they just take this segment in a completely different direction and just give us a tour of Idaho, because I didn't know what happened there. I still don't really know what happens there, but it looks much more beautiful than a sack of potatoes, which is all I pictured happened there. Can't you just take us on a tour of Idaho? We don't want to go to Dubai with her. She's not meeting him. Let's just be done. Back in Panama, Gino and Jasmine have recovered from their little tiff last week, and they're headed off to San Jose Island for their little getaway within a getaway. I looked up San Jose Island because I like to be educated about these places that I'm now going to through my television. And it turns out that it's one of the Pearl Islands. And it was actually in the 40s had like bombs planted there. It was used for all kind of like chemical hazardous waste. So it sounds lovely this time of year. The airport, Gino had to take his hat off for security. I don't even think they were like suspicious of anything. I think they just wanted to see what the hell was under his hat. Out there, Jasmine was just crying tears of happiness because she was so happy at how far the couple had come despite all of her multiple personality outbursts. And she was just happy to be at a good place and be there together. However, that could not last too long because the next morning she decided to bring up over some drinks that she was contacted by Gino's ex-girlfriend on social media. Well, as it should turn out, Gino's ex-girlfriend said that they had been talking, they'd been texting, and that Gino even told her all about Jasmine. And Jasmine blocked her, thinking she was just jealous. So she brought this up to Gino very calmly, uncharacteristically calmly, which is actually almost scarier than when she gets crazy. And Gino just kind of sat there like blinking as he does. And Jasmine, said, Gino, what is this about? Gino stumbled a little before he finally admitted, yeah, I texted her recently to let her know I had met the love of my life, because who doesn't meet the love of their life and then turn around and go tell their ex-girlfriend about it? What a great plan, especially with Jasmine as a partner. This is basically more hazardous than any bomb or chemical on this island. There were Caleb and Alina, who are yet again in bed. Well, actually, Caleb was in a different pair of LuLaRoe leggings across the room, and Alina was in bed. Anyway, they were sitting there and they're having this conversation that's so played out about her ex-boyfriend and this whole big secret, which Caleb was really, using to be his out for this relationship so he could, hit it and quit it and basically like have a little sneaky way out to still make himself look good while he was putting another notch in his belt, or should I say another notch in his comfortable elastic waistband. That they had to bid farewell to Elijah, who was heading home to Mother Russia, and he had his tiny little suitcase, which he said was full of many fierce outfits, and he said goodbye to them both, giving Caleb a little parting advice by telling him not to be a dick, and also that he needs to clarify things with Alina before the trip ends. So Caleb really meditated about that and like thought about it and like wanted to really channel his inner chi and whatnot. So he and Alina went over to a Turkish bathhouse. Where have we seen an Alina in a Turkish bathhouse? An Alina from Russia in a Turkish bathhouse. Oh yeah, last season. So they probably got the Groupon from Steven and Alina, and they went and got like scrubbed down with bubbles, but this is nothing new. We already saw this last time. And then afterwards, they went back to the veranda of their hotel where they sat and talked yet again about their relationship. Kind of played out, kind of sick of seeing this. Anybody? Bueller? Anything? Last not least, definitely not least this week, were Mike and X-Men. So Mike and X-Men were leaving Salento after their long-winded vacation, where Mike just blew her away. Anyway, Mike was wearing his like 10-gallon cowboy hat, his Colombian cowboy hat with his face mask. What a winning combination. He needed the height. It was great. So they got in the cab and they're on their way back to the casa to see Harold, and then Steven. And while he's in there, I think the altitude got him and he, his nose was a little clogged. He got a little congested. So he took out a tissue and he's really going to town, like getting up each nostril, blowing it around. And clearly this is really something that is not turning on X-Men in any way, shape, or form. So she's watching him really like work at this nose. And then he proceeds to put the dirty tissue in the back seat pocket of the cab driver to leave it there. So she yells at him and has to teach him that, no, you have to throw that away. Now, because of last week's conversation with, that he can't burp or fart, or he needs to be more polite and pick up his clothing, he has been minding his P's and Q's because his elocution teacher has been up his ass about this. So right away, he had to come up with an excuse. And the best excuse he could give her was that he has ADHD. ADHD with IBS, but I'm not really positive. I don't know. I don't think the ADHD is making him fart all the time. So anyway, they take the cab ride back, they head home, and they're, Mike's still trying to impress her, so he decides to make dinner for Jimena and the kids. So he makes like some kind of box. I don't know if it was like Colombian version of mac and cheese, but it was like noodles with cheese sauce. And he undercooks the noodles and it doesn't add enough milk or whatever to the cheese sauce, the powdered cheese sauce. So clearly this was disgusting. And Jimena, who also, besides being, Miss Manners, she's also a food critic. So she takes one bite and says, "Oh, I'm afraid if I eat this, I'm going to get diarrhea." Meanwhile, we all know from Mother Submit that if you have one diarrhea, it means nothing. You have to have 6 or more or you have to go along with the rest of your day. This is just the rules. I didn't make them up. It was Mother Submit. Anyway, so Mike he's really trying. And then he decides that he's going to speak with her father to ask for permission for her hand in marriage. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Sicario ex-boyfriend, the prisoner, and then probably the one-night stand never asked for her hand in marriage. But here Mike is going out on a limb, doing things the right way so that, he can make this whole deal kosher. So he asks X-Men's father, who says he has some reservations and he really wishes that Mike and Jimena can talk to each other in the same language. But he says, what the hell? Go ahead. As long as you give my grandsons the best of the best. Mike agrees and he takes the boys to the playground that day and tries to talk to them about becoming their new father. And, little Juan David, he was so sweet. And he's like, "I don't have a dad. I would really like that." It's like, oh my God, really? Really? You melted my cold black heart. Meanwhile, Harold Stephen just ran for the hills during the whole conversation. He just took off stage left. And I wasn't really sure if it was because he didn't know what they were talking about. He's only 3, or maybe like Mike let a big one rip. I don't know. But meanwhile, now it's time to convince Jimena. So he invited Jimena and her whole entire familia out for a fancy dinner and told her to get all gussied up. So she was wearing this sequin dress, putting on like multiple layers of eyeshadow, all while ignoring her greasy hair to get ready for this dinner where her dad and her stepmother were saying, what if Mike proposes on this dinner? And she kind of looked a little like, I don't know what I'm going to say. He farts a lot. I don't know. But they tried to remind her, well, he has money and he's been supporting you and you're going to have to get a job and it's going to be really hard if you don't do this. And you could have a better life. So you should probably just marry him. It was very romantic and touching. Next week is the week I'm really waiting for, the big proposal, where Mike is going to blow everyone away, or he's just going to forget about everything because he has ADHD and like blow his nose and leave the tissue on the table. Thanks so much for joining me for this week's episode of Erica Shmerica's Reality Recap. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and all of those things. And I'll see you again next week for another recap. Bye, guys.